Hey everyone, welcome to another 90-day recap chat. This is Irene CBiz Media, where we talk faith, love, and trends. And 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples. One person's from the U.S., the other's from another country. We follow their ups and downs. We follow their relationship issues, the good, the bad, the ugly, on top of language barriers, cultural boundaries, the 90-day deadline to marry so you can reside in the same country with your partner, all those legal ramifications. This is 90 Day Fiance, and this one is before the 90 days. So let me start with Javon and Anna. And Javon's like, well, it's kind of strange. After 3 years of marriage, I'm experiencing all my firsts here with my wife for the first time, even our first fight. She made her side of the bed. His side of the bed look sloppy. That just seems so funny to me, how you just make one side of the bed. It's pretty petty. Hopefully he made his side so it will look neat, but it was just kind of funny to see the juxtaposition of that. So they talk about the issue where he was confiding with someone that he had interest in the past, and he's like, well, I don't want you to confide to my sister because, that's my family. Kind of leave them out of it. And she's like, well, why can't I confide to her? She's my family now. He apologizes for confiding with that person. But she's saying, just because he did that, everything's still not good. She still has trust issues with him. So they go out to the beach. They try to enjoy the rest of this trip. That's their goal. They go out. It's a beautiful rainbow. They try this aqua bike thing. And Javon's legs are too long to even really ride this aqua bike. But they do what they do. And they kind of share a little kiss. And it seems like kind of nice and romantic, like they're having their honeymoon moments. So now they're talking their trust issues over a coconut drink. I think that's a coconut. And she's like, you know what? I need to make sure that you haven't talked to this person like you told me you haven't. So I need to look at your phone and check and see what you've been doing. So she looks through the phone. They try to trick us, and she's like, wow. And trying to make us feel like he's doing something, but the only thing that's really there are photos of his dog, photos of her. So she says, okay, I'm going to give him a break. No red flags. So I'm happy. We can all take a sigh of relief, right? She says he does have an issue with watching a lot of masculinity podcasts, and she says as far as they're concerned, cheating is okay as long as you provide. So I don't know if he's taken on that rhetoric or not, but he said, it's okay for her to have a healthy fear, a healthy jealousy, because that's, for women, the only way they're going to act right is if they feel like they have something to lose, which I don't agree with that philosophy. And I think it's men that can do that as well. So I don't know why he's putting it all on women. He sounds like he has been listening to those masculinity podcasts. So I guess Javon has passed the test. It's a nice night. They're going out. They're kind of wearing matching. What they're wearing seems to match somehow. I'm not sure if they coordinated or what. But her shoe breaks and she's like, why don't you carry me to where we're going? He's like, I can't really carry you. You're wearing a dress. And she's like, come on, be more romantic. So they get to the place because she could still walk in her shoe. Just one of the straps broke. And it's something called halo halo, which means mix. And it's a popular dessert where they mix these different varieties together with ice and milk. And one of the varieties is cheese and corn. So he's not too heavy about trying this as a dessert. He's not sure. He said it's a little bit all over the place, but it actually, to him, he said it was good. I don't know really how good it really was. So she asked the waiter to take a picture of them, and she's like, well, he's like, oh, that looked pretty good. And she's like, no, you look miserable, and you've been whiny this whole time. You don't want to try the dessert. He's like, well, I'm drained. I've been working 15 hours a day, so, this and that. And she's like complaining about him not being romantic enough. And he says, so I guess I'm not a good husband, huh? And there's silence, there's crickets. So I guess she affirmed that by not saying anything. She says physical trust and words of affirmation is her love language. But he's just so non-emotional. He's like, well, isn't keeping the lights on, isn't that romantic? And she's like, well, why do you always throw in my face that you're doing these things? I'm just not going to ask you for anything anymore. She's crying a lot. The tears are streaming. It's not making for a great honeymoon. For me, I think Anna, she has higher expectations than what Javon is able to give. And because they haven't lived in the same place for the last 3 years, they don't know each other enough. They're already married. And I honestly don't think Javon means anything negative by it, but he's that guy that provides. He's not that romantic guy. If that's what she really wanted, I think she got the wrong man. Now, maybe she can help him to find his more romantic side, but the way she's going about it, the way she's expecting him to already be, I think it's also a reflection of what she feels about herself. You know, there's this idea that the right person brings out all of these good things in you, but it's really, to me, it's that person's choice if they want to, or if they have that experience. If you've been a certain way your whole life, I don't think you're going to completely want to do a 180 and do things you've never done before, you've never even thought of doing, just because you met someone that's supposed to be your person. So it's like a dance you guys have to do, and you guys have to kind of try to bring out the best in each other. Tell him what you want, tell him what you like, give him time to adjust, and for him to be that man that you want him to be. But throwing the money in her face all the time, if you're the one that's going to be a provider, that's not good either. You shouldn't put that guilt, that stress on your partner if you've agreed to live this lifestyle like that. So they have some things to work on, but I think they can work on it. But she just shouldn't expect him to be this, and he shouldn't expect her to be that, because they're not meeting each other's expectations of what they want. So they have to figure out how to navigate in this relationship, or if they want to even continue at all. For me, I think this is something that they can work on. I don't think they have to throw this whole thing away for this scenario. He needs to be more romantic. And I feel like he wants her to kind of maybe pull some financial weight in the relationship, which he should have just told her that. He hasn't said that yet, but I feel like that's something that he feels and wants. And I think she would be willing to do that if he expressed that. She said she let go of everything so that she can have time for him, even though they're a very distance away, but she always wants to be able to pick up the phone when he calls and all that. So she's just dropped everything, and that's not really healthy for her lifestyle and what she may want in her life. So they have some things to work out, but I think they can work this out if they give it a try. I don't think that they should just easily throw this away. That's my thoughts. Now let's go to Laura and Burkhan, and they just had their little fight at the Evil Eye bead shop, and he basically wants her to throw Michael away. But now next they have to go meet the friends after all this tension, so that's going to be kind of weird. When they get to I think it's like a coffee shop they meet up at, he hugs everyone. He knows everyone in the place. I think Laura's a little impressed and surprised by this. The friends come through. I think it's Mamet and Tuba, and he hugs them both. I don't know if Laura didn't want him to hug the girl, but you know, it looks like he just hugs everyone. But it kind of, to me, when they first greeted each other, it seemed like Laura was kind of in the way, like she was trying to block the hug. I don't know if that's really what she was trying to do or not. But the friends expressed that Laura doesn't look her age. I don't think they said it in front of her, but they said she looks young and she seems to be a friendly, bubbly person. So they seem to like her so far. So Laura kind of wants to know the dirt on Burkhan, but the strange thing enough is he's the translator, so she can't even understand firsthand what they're saying. So he can kind of frame the narrative the way he wants, and he's going to take advantage of that. So we find out he smokes shisha daily, And I guess it's like a smoke bar there, so he's smoking it now. And she's like, well, I don't really think that he should be doing that when he's in debt. He shouldn't be using his money for that and doing this every day. One of his friends says there's an unknown side to Burkan, and the young lady that's his friend said is some things that he really needs to tell her, but she doesn't understand what they're saying, but she knows they're talking about something, and she wants to know, hey, what are you guys talking about? He does have a gambling issue, but Laura doesn't understand or know what they're talking about. So he said this is how he kind of makes money because he's in debt. He gambles every day. That's his living to try to make money. He told them to change the subject because she's like, what are you saying? What are you saying? So he wants to be honest, but not honest, and change the subject so that he can tell her what they're saying. So he's not revealing really what was just said in the conversation. So one of the friends does do him a favor and says, he doesn't like to be pressured. So then he translates that and changed the topic. The friends say that she really needs to be told what is going on with Burkan. So Burkan is being deceptive. And I'm not really surprised. I feel like there's still something he's hiding. So right now it seems like he has a gambling issue, but then they had previews where it seems like there's going to be something else connected to this too. So I don't know. Burkan seems like he has a lot to hide. Trisha and Rick, they're on the boat. They're on their romantic getaway within Tasmania. They're hanging out with the lemurs. And it's just to be known, lemurs are not pets. Don't try to keep them as pets. I think Rick says they look like squirrel monkeys. I think it's called Maki Maki. She keeps saying Maki Maki, Maki Maki, which means lemur. So I just learned something new. I don't even know what language that is, though. So I don't know how I'm going to use this. So, excuse me, now I have to find out what language that is. So he starts talking about his kids and bringing her back as a stepmom, and she starts saying, you know what, I can't just be a stepmom, I really want my own kids. And he's saying right now he can't have kids, and I think he's trying to say it's for financial reasons, but it's probably for more than that. He probably just doesn't want any more kids. She's asking him why, and he's like, this isn't the best time. So she's like, well, I need to know the time frame. It's important for her culture. But I think it's also just important for her that she wants kids. So they have this picnic thing on the beach. This food vendors, it's like a typical thing for them to have. People, looks like they have fresh caught fish. The heads and everything still on it. And they take the fish and they fry it right there on the beach over a fire. And this is kind of a traditional thing that they have. And I guess they consider it a food stand out on the beach. So she's like, let's try cooking it and let's kind of follow their lead. And I'm going to show you how you can cook this. He's like, well, I never even fished before. So he's being kind of soft at this time. And they're like kneeling over the fire. He's like, no, I'm too old to be kneeling like this. Can I get a chair? So he's being very sensitive right now. I guess he never touched fish before. I don't know if he's scared to touch the fish. He just said he never fished before. So he said he was going to try to cook it. And he's like, this is a good idea because she says you can impress my family since you're going to be meeting them pretty soon. So she also reveals there's some more secrets going on with her. We don't know what that is. And she also reveals that, hey, I haven't told my family anything about you, Rick. The fact that you're older than even my dad. And the fact that you have kids and you've been married before. My dad doesn't know that, but I really need my dad's blessing, and kids are really important to our culture. So this is kind of a mess, the family knows nothing about him in his past, but she's trying to get them to go get a blessing, a little bit like Daniel and Lisa trying to get the blessing as well. So there's blessings and lies all ripped through this episode here. Burkan just lied to Laura and didn't really tell the full truth and didn't really translate the truth from his friends. So, and we already know about Sheena and Forrest in that situation, but we're going to learn more in a moment. Speaking of blessings, let's get into Forrest and Sheena. They basically gave their blessing to him the other day. Forrest has been kind of questioning Sheena, but she's kind of going around about the situation. She's not really answering him when it comes to that situation with his family, her family so-called mistreating her for her money. Now, he's happy his mom is going to come and further the investigation. Because at first he's like, Mom, get out of my way, you're being mean. Now he's like, okay, Mom, I can use you in this scenario, so I can't wait till you come and crack this case, right? So when Mom gets to their home, she's shocked when she arrives. She says they're living better than she is in the U.S. They meet the family. It's a nice greeting. They're cutting the jackfruit. They're talking, and they put out this banana leaf spread. So to me, I don't know if it's just, I think I've seen this in Hawaii, but it's like they put out banana leaves instead of plates. And so it's like a long banana leaf all connected, like all pieces connected, and goes down the table like a train. And then they put all the food, it goes down as well like a train. So it looks like you're getting this amazing smorgasbord of food. And Molly's like, her mouth is watering looking at this. And she's like, I knew your mom would like this. And she's very interested in the culture and the different intricacies here. So I don't know if she's hoping that, hey, maybe she'll keep her mind off of confronting the family and just have a good time eating this food. When it comes to Forrest and his mom, Molly, they're both saying, this isn't adding up. She compliments them, but she also says what you guys have here is unexpected. She thought the family would be more struggling. She mentions, are you okay with Sheena moving to America? And they said, well, actually, this has been her dream, so we know that she wants to move to America. So they kind of address the confusion of the family. Are they mistreating her for her money and forcing her to give her money to them? The dad looks tearful. The fact that, Molly's bringing this up saying, are you guys mistreating her? And they feel bad that, that this is even being said about them. Sheena's hard crying like she's done before. And she says she's sorry. And, Mom asks her again, why are you lying? And she says, it's hard to save money. She didn't want to lose Forrest. She's trying to get her visa. She apologizes, and, they again try to clear up what is this money issue. So they are getting money from her, but they say that this money is a loan, and they'll pay her back at any time. And while it's making Sheena look like the bad guy, Forrest does start to defend her. I guess he's trying to make her feel better in this moment and not make her feel like just thrown under the bus. She hasn't been honest and transparent with her family as far as trying to get this visa. They don't know anything about the visa process, so they don't know how much money she really needs. And I think she just felt pressure to come through with this money for her family. It seems like things are being cleared up, but Mom says she still doesn't trust Sheena, and there may be some more to this story. But I honestly do feel like Sheena, maybe she didn't communicate well to her family, and she felt the obligation and the pressure to help them, and she may have been doing it for so long as well that she didn't want to let them down, and that's understandable. But she didn't have to lie on them, and then when she actually gets to her country, say they're good people. So it's really confusing. She has to work on her communication issues because she definitely has those. And she does have an issue with lying, it sounds like. So I don't know if you can work with somebody like that. There's always going to be an untruth here and there. I don't know if it's going to be detrimental, but is that something that you should deal with when you're in a relationship? It can be very stressful and confusing. And if you can't trust the person that you're closest to, then who can you trust? That needs to be your safe space and your peace. And if it's not, then I question why you would even be with someone like that. Finally, we get into Daniel and Lisa. He's showing her how to wear the special clothing from his country and his culture to go meet his uncle. This is the big deal. He even helps her with her hair tie. She's like really fumbling around, and he's very good at this. And he's like, he knows by watching his mother that this is how you do this. He said he never thought that he would have to help his future companion to have to do this, but he'd been watching moms. And I think that's a good thing. Some people may, eye him a certain way, people that have those stereotypes. But I say, it's good to have a man that knows how to do it all and can help you in that department if he can. So they start talking about lying, and she said, well, I think she said something about there's white lies. She said, well, no, she said, a lie in my culture could be different than lying in your culture. He's like, no, a lie is a lie, babe. All across the board, a lie is a lie. LOL, duh, that's fact. But, she's going to try to play the culture game because she knows that she's lying, and she's going to try to use whatever she can to look better. Right now, she's kind of fumbling, flubbing around, kind of going crazy, going mad. She's about to meet the uncle, and she doesn't want her lies to be exposed, and she has to get that uncle's blessing, or they're not going to be able to get married. So she's kind of going a little bit mad, and her messiness is starting to show. I thought Daniel was the one that's using her to get to the country, and that may very well be so. He does appear to also care about her. Two things can be true at once. But she's the one that's definitely more on the messy side to me in her attitude and her actions. Daniel may be transparent in the fact that, he is getting help from her. She's giving him money without an issue. So, in a way, Daniel's being very honest, probably from the get, and she's been the opposite from the get. So, when they get to the uncle's establishment, he's like, hey, what's wrong with you guys? You're supposed to kneel first. So they kneel together. And then he's like, okay, you guys can come over and sit down. And she's kind of standing there. They're kind of frozen a bit. Like, they're too nervous. Like, he's like, okay, I said you guys can sit down. Come on, go ahead and sit down. Come on. So he's asking questions. He's asking the questions that probably Daniel should have asked during this whole relationship. She gives a bit of her origin story. She's Native American and Irish. Her mom gave her away for adoption. And she was adopted to a good family. She said she's hardworking. And she helps her own household as well as she's helping Daniel's household. And she's asked if she's a Christian. And she says, I haven't always acted as a Christian, but I am one. And I'm a stronger one due to him. Do you drink occasionally? Do you smoke? Well, she said, I did in the past, but I no longer do that. I've gave it up. Like, she gave it up like 5 minutes ago because she just smoked last night, right? It's not a total lie, but we'll see if that's true enough. Then he asked the lesbian questions, and she's shocked that he's even asking these questions. And he's saying, I know in America it's rampant, but here we don't do it at all. Yeah, you're saying that. Maybe you don't do it in your Christian belief system. There still may be some people sneaky linking doing things, but, I'm pretty sure this happens in all areas, in all cultures, in all countries. They just probably are a little bit more hush about what they do. He said, don't be offended, but this is an aberration. What is an aberration? I'm going to have to put that definition on the screen. The truth, he's looking for the truth in what she's doing. And she's shocked that he's even asked her this question and asking, do you still practice this lifestyle? And she says, it was a one-time thing. It was a fling. Now, she didn't even have to say that. She didn't even have to add those extra information. He just said, did you do it or are you still doing it? And if you're not sexually practicing with a woman, you could have just said no. Why did you add the lie that this was a one-time fling when you know you're married to a woman right now? Because she's not physically practicing it, she can say she no longer practices it. Yet she's still married to a woman, so there's still some truth that's not being told. But then you take it all away to just completely lying and saying you had a one-time fling when you've been married. Was it 2 times to women? Maybe was it 3? I'm not sure. I'm losing count with her marriages. And now she's trying to put another one under her belt. So she says she's not a liar, but she didn't say that wasn't a lie. you're kind of a liar, ma'am. And everything that you're adding to it's making you even more of a liar. You could be a little bit quieter, lying. What is it? Lying by omission versus just lying, like spinning the whole story. It just makes you look worse. And then she's kind of upset at Daniel after the fact. Daniel, why did he ask me that question? Why are you telling my business? You're really not supposed to give that information out. And he was saying, I have to kind of tell my uncle everything. Well, she said, well, why didn't you tell me that you told him? Because you knew how he was going to ask me these questions. So how are you going to, play different sides with me like that? Anyway, he says, I don't have to tell you that. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's her testing period and she needs to be tested. And he needs to be tested too, I'm sure. But in the meantime, Uncle's like, well, in his language, he said he didn't want her to understand. So he's saying this in his language, do you want this woman to be your wife? Are you sure? He's like, yes, he's sure he wants to marry this woman. So Unc gives the blessing. She's thrilled. They kind of kiss in front of Uncle. So I'm like, is this like a makeshift ceremony or something? I don't know. But she says she's thrilled, but she's guilty. He's saying, I bless you in Jesus' name. Like, he's using Jesus' name and all of this. And, like, I definitely would feel guilty if I was really lying like that. And he talking about Jesus' name. And if you're already a Christian, you come from a Christian background. Yeah, I feel very, very guilty. So that's the end of this episode here. I don't know what the title of this episode was, but I call it Blessings and Lies because we had a little bit of both. We have Trisha and Rick hoping to get a blessing. We have Sheena and Forrest that got a blessing. We have Daniel and Lisa that got a blessing. And they all have some lies attached to all of these stories. So there it is for this episode. What are your thoughts, comments, questions? Let me know. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com with your thoughts. Check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. And we'll talk again more faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. This is Irene. All the best, and God bless.